Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gypsy Poet Radio here on blogtalkradio.com/Gypsy Poet. I am the Gypsy Poet, and with me is the ever-sparkling, mysterious, and funny Girl George. Yes, people, Girl George. Say it with me, Girl George, Girl George, Girl George. Oh, what a blast this is. And we've got an unforgettable guest this afternoon who I really enjoyed learning about. He is awesome. He is none other than Gary Serkin, guitarist for the
Hi, Gary, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are y'all today?
Great to hear somebody from Nashville again.
From Nashville.
Yes.
Yeah, you play with my old bass player, Barney, right?
Barney and I have been friends since high school.
Wow. Barney hitchhiked with me from Nashville to San Francisco in 1973. I haven't been back since, so it's all his fault. We went on tour with Dr. Hook, and I never came back. Star broke up, and she came back and got married, some guitar player or something. But I miss Nashville.
Well, it's still here.
It's still there. Did you ever play at the Red Dog Saloon and the Exit Inn, our old hangouts?
I've played at the Exit Inn for 35 years. Starting
still
with
there,
Freddie.
huh?
I played there with Freddie Hubbard for 2 nights when I was 22, and actually Barney was at that show, oddly enough.
So it's now what, the Blue Lamp, the Blue Note or something?
The Red Dog is now the Blue Bar.
But it is as it used to be. I liked it when it was nice and funky.
Yeah, it's a little different now. Got a lot of pool tables. Yeah.
So you've played with Mitch Mitchell. I knew him in L.A. He used to play at the jam station at the Central, and I used to play there. And so I knew Mitch Mitchell. And you played with and Billy Cox. My goodness, I'm impressed.
Over 20 years with Big Bill.
Well, tell me about it. How did you guys get together?
Well, I was playing on some sessions at a studio. I started doing basically overdubs for some songs they had in their publishing company that weren't complete, and from there was a producer that came to Nashville named Neil Jeffries, who had this brilliant idea to do a compilation album of all of the rock, new wave, whatever you want to call it, kind of thing that was happening in '82. So he did a compilation album, and they had me play on a couple of tracks. And along with Neil, he brought a friend of his, Davey Lutton, a drummer who I was very familiar with. He played in a band called Heir Apparent that was produced by Hendrix, and Jimmy played on the record. It was called Sunrise, and they opened up for Jimmy's '68 American tour. So Davey and I became friends, and we were playing on some he was actually playing on some of my stuff. The engineer, Frank Green, he played bass. And after one session that night, I met African Dreamland. They came in, and the next day or so, I was doing another session, and I popped my head in the control room, and there was Billy Cox sitting there. Now, I had seen Billy 10 years previous with his first group, Nitro Function. They played at the Centennial Park Band Shell, and he went on to play with Charlie Daniels and did some other things, but he kind of got out of the music business for a while, but he was producing this lady named Frankie Staten, who they called the Chocolate Cowgirl. She was kind of a black country singer, and I had no idea he could produce. I always thought of Billy as a bass player. So I didn't go anywhere. I sat in the control room, sat on the couch, and watched him work. Then when they took a break, I introduced myself, and I had my guitar effects bag with me, and I pulled out a Vox wah pedal and an Arbiter fuzz face, which were Jimmy's two prime effects. And the first thing Billy said to me was, "Oh yeah, Jimmy always hooked up the fuzz face last," which was true. So we exchanged numbers, and it wasn't long after that, after they finished the London Side of Nashville album, they wanted to do a second album with me and Davey and Billy, and I called up Davey, and he was turning flips over the idea. And I called up Billy, and unfortunately he had some prior commitments and he wasn't able to do it. But 3 years later, I had gone to New York and hung out at Electric Lady Studios and got to be friends with Roger Mayer, Jimmy's tech, and came back to Nashville, and I put a tribute together and invited Billy, and he showed up. We didn't play together that night, but about a week and a half later, he called me up, and he said he was inspired by my show, and he was thinking of putting a group together, and did I want to audition for him? And so, of course, the answer was yes. But by that time, Davey had unfortunately gone back to England, so we kind of looked for a drummer, and we had a drummer at first who we were rehearsing with, Don Kendrick, but then he got called to do a Freddie Fender tour, so we didn't have a drummer, and we ended up getting a drummer, Jeff Roberts, who is Wayne Moss's nephew. Wayne Moss, some people might remember from the band Barefoot Jerry.
Oh, I remember them.
Anyway, Jeff became our drummer, and we formed a group with 3 background singers so we could play some of the songs like the record. And that's how that went. Of course.
So Billy Cox took Noel's place as a
yes.
bass player when Noel left Jimi Hendrix?
Yes. Actually, they were, at the time, in early '69, they were talking about each of them forming their own groups. Noel formed Fat Mattress, which actually opened up for the '69 U.S. tour. Mitch was going to get a group together called Mind Octopus, which never came to be. And then Jimmy came up with the name Band of Gypsies. And in April of '69, I got to go see Jimi Hendrix in Memphis, and Jimmy had contacted Billy and asked him to meet him at the show. And I actually, in one of my photographs, you can actually see Billy standing backstage, which, according to him, is the very first photo of the two of them back together. So, and then 3 days later, Billy was up in the studio in New York at recording with Jimmy at the record plant. And the Experience finished the rest of their shows through the end of June. And then on July 10th, '69, Billy made his debut with Jimmy on The Tonight Show, which I saw. Now, that was the first time I became aware of Billy Cox, and I thought his bass playing was just fantastic. And, of course, when the Band of Gypsies album came out, you really got to hear him, and then, of course, after Jimmy died, all those countless records started coming out, and Billy was all over them, and he kind of became a posthumous rock star himself.
So did you ever get to meet Jimi Hendrix himself?
I didn't meet him, but I saw him. We made eye contact. Does that count?
Does that count? Good enough for me.
Yeah. So, no, I didn't get to meet him unfortunately. It was kind of my dream to get good enough to go up to Electric Lady, and I wanted Jimmy to produce me. That was my dream. Of course, that dream got cut short on September 18th when he passed away. But I got to play with Billy and Buddy and Mitch, which is, I guess, the next best thing.
Yeah, it is. So you play a lot like Jimi Hendrix now, huh?
Well, you know, when Are You Experienced came out in August of '67, I had been playing for about 4 years. And I was heavy into the British invasion and Motown and, you know, all that stuff. And then I heard Are You Experienced? And my first thought was to quit. Jeff Beck kind of had the same thought. But on the other hand, I had to know how he did what he did. So God bless my mom for putting up with 3 hours a day of practicing after school until dinner time, but that's what I did. I just constantly played, and you know.
Like him too? Do you sing like Jimmy?
Sorta.
Well, you do the vocals when you do the cover stuff of Jimmy, right?
Yeah. When we had the group with Billy, he would sing the songs that he was a part of. The later period stuff, and then I would sing the songs from the Experience. So it really worked out well. Taking a little bit of load off him having to lead sing all night. Plus we had 3 background singers, and we gave them a song too. And we did a few blues covers and some Curtis Mayfield, and it was a little bit of a variety. It wasn't all Hendrix.
So did you play at the Woodstock reunion?
Well, we kind of had our own reunion.
The Itchy Coo Park thing is what I'm talking about.
Actually, a month before that, we played the Exit In. This was our first gig with Billy and Mitch as the Gypsy Sun Experience, and we played at the Exit In the same weekend as Woodstock 99, or should I say the ill-fated Woodstock 99, because had they had gone up there, they would have been in the middle of fires and riots, and it's a good thing we had that gig booked. And then a month later, we played the Itchy Coo Park Festival within 6 days of their debut with Jimmy at Woodstock. Well, Billy's debut. Mitch, of course, had been in the band, but we played on basically that show marked the 30th anniversary of Woodstock. It was real exciting for us to do that.
You've done a lot of big gigs with big concerts, a whole bunch of people at them.
Yeah, you know how it is. They gigs come and go.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you a little bit about the Allman Brothers. You also have them name checked.
Well, I got called in 1991 to be a tech for them on the Shades of Two Worlds tour.
So what does that mean? You tune their guitars or what?
You basically, you tune their guitars and you watch them. You're basically a babysitter. You watch, you read them, and make sure nothing goes wrong.
Make sure nobody ODs, right? I was there when the Allman Brothers got their tattoos by Lel Tuttle in about 1971. That was right after Dwayne had died, so it was like December of 71, and they were getting all those tattoos. The mushroom he put on everybody. Yeah,
that was kind of their logo, the mushroom.
Lel Tuttle designed that thing and put it on all of them. But I was there on a lot of acid back then.
I'd actually seen the Almond Joys, when I was 12 years old, they played at the Centennial Park Band Shell. And Dwayne made quite an impression on me. He played his Cherry Red SG, and I'll never forget him playing their version of Willie Dixon's Spoonful. It just stuck in my head. Then 4 years later, they played at Vanderbilt at Memorial Gym on October 30th, 70, the day before Halloween. And that was the first time I saw the Allman Brothers. And then I saw them again April 22nd, 71 in Murfreesboro. And then I saw them again in, it was July 15th, 71 in Tampa. And I met Dwayne before the show, and he said, "Where have I seen you?" And I said, in the front row at Vanderbilt and Murfreesboro. And I said, "I'm trying to learn how to play slide, and I'm watching you." And he said, "Well, all right then." And then during the show, he did a slide solo and looked over at me and winked and smiled, and I felt like $1,000,000. That totally made my day. But of course, 3 months later, he was gone. And
that's too bad.
I'd already gone through the loss of Jimmy, which was devastating, and Dwayne was my second favorite guitarist, and then I lost him. So that was very devastating for me then.
Were you at Chicken Day? Remember Chicken Day at one of the colleges where Big Crotch and the Armpits were playing and George and Arizona were playing? Were you there?
I remember Steve Davis with Big Crotch and the Armpits. But
and Biff Watson was our guitar player. You didn't go to Chicken Day? You know who Chicken is, right?
No, not offhand.
Chicken's a dog. Big Crotch's dog. They had a dog called Chicken, so they had Chicken Day at one of the colleges. Big concert we did. You don't remember?
Don't remember that one, Girl George.
Did you know us in Nashville? Did you know George and Sarah in Nashville?
Who at Nashville?
Me, George and Arizona Sarah.
Oh! Of course I knew you. How could you miss the sword? I mean,
did you see us play?
I did see you play, and y'all made quite an impact in this town.
Did you see the Lobotomy, our play?
No, I missed that. Now, I was a little younger than y'all, so I mean, I was 18 when the Exit Inn opened, so I was lucky. They lowered the drinking age the same year I turned 18, so I was able to go to the clubs thanks to that. So
wow, that's really cool because Red Dog opened in 71, so you were what, 20? 71?
71, I was 18.
18?
Yeah.
But you got in anyway.
No,
huh?
I was 17 in 71. So, but I didn't go to the Red Dog as much as I did. I was a regular at the Exit Inn.
Yeah, that opened a little later on that first year in 71 when we were there. When we first got there was no hip clubs. There was only country places. Everybody was trying to out-country each other. And then the Red Dog Saloon opened up, and all hell broke loose. All the hippies came out of the colleges because you got all those colleges there. So all the hippies were waiting for something to happen. So the Red Dog Saloon opened up, and all the hippies came out from under their rocks and took over the town for a few years. I think when I left, they kind of snuck back under their rock and went back country because that's where the money is in country.
Yeah, it's still like that.
Yes, I know. So it was better for me in San Francisco because the punk thing was just starting, and I'm more punk than I am country.
And trails. That was a whole different era. In fact, there was quite a rock scene in Nashville during the 80s. I was with African Dreamland at first, and then when I got with Billy, we played the Boardwalk Cafe, but we really didn't play locally much, mostly out of town. So I can't say I was really a part of that scene. I wasn't really a part of the rock scene here, but I did continue to work with Ashid from African Dreamland for seven years in 4 different bands.
So what kind of music did you do in the Dreamland thing?
Well, he called it blue reggae. It was a kind of a fusion of blues and reggae, and it had elements of R&B and soul. You know, Ashid, he first came to town. He signed with Buddy Killen's label. Some of you may know who he was. He owned Tree Publishing and the Sound Shop recording studio. Where
I remember Tree, but that's about all I remember of it.
Well, the Sound Shop is where Paul McCartney recorded Sally G and Junior's Farm.
Oh,
but
cool.
he owned that studio, and he had a label called Dial Records, and his flagship artist was Joe Tex. Other group he had was the Almond Joys, and the third artist he had was Little Archie, who was none other than Ashid Hemmons of African Dreamland. He changed his name to Ashid, which meant honor.
Honor, that's a good name.
Yeah, and honor. So, but that's kind of a little interesting thing. And after I did my last gig with Ashid and the New Dream, we played a big show at 328 Performance Hall. It's actually on YouTube. It's called Life to Life. It's about a 2-hour show. I'm glad it's up there.
Is there stuff on YouTube with you and Mitch and Buddy Miles and? Is there stuff on YouTube with you guys playing live?
With Buddy?
Yeah, and
No.
Mitch Mitchum and them.
There's not a whole lot. Most of those tapes, Billy and I both have.
Well, you should put them up on YouTube so we can see them.
I know. I know. We've been holding on to this stuff for years, and people have asked me about it, but I haven't really released anything. Though I do have some stuff we did in the studio that I've been working on mixing, along with some of my stuff, my solo stuff. So I guess I'm about halfway through with what could be my quote-unquote solo album. So it'll kind of be a anthology of different things that I've done over the years.
Awesome.
So that's something to look forward to.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about some of the publications that you've been in, like, for example, the Black Gold. It's called Black Gold, the Lost Archives of Jimi Hendrix.
That was Steve Roby's book. Steve has written quite a few books. First one was the Lost Archives of Jimmy, basically about what tapes are out there and stuff. He's written another one called Becoming Jimi Hendrix, which is about his early days, pre-experience, which includes a lot of details about Jimmy's time in Nashville. And then he's got another book with his lyrics, his writings, basically. And there's also another book that's coming out called Starting at Zero. That's also similar with. It's been released. It's kind of Jimmy telling his own story in his own words. I'm looking forward to that, and there's going to be a documentary to go along with it as well. But Yeah, that's going to be neat. But Steve did a audio. He put out an audio tape, and I submitted the song "Hear My Train A-Coming," which is on that. And that what you're talking about was actually a bootleg. According to Steve, he didn't even put that out himself. Somebody else put it out. But he had a magazine called Straight Ahead, and now he's been writing books, and he's a good friend. And hey, Steve, if you're listening.
Do you write songs too?
I write songs.
The words and the music, or just the music, or everything?
But both.
Okay.
There'll be some of that on my record. I've never tried to be a songwriter for others. There's plenty of people doing that here in town.
Yeah, Nashville.
Of course, that could be a whole nother show. But you know, all you need to do is take the words dirt, beer, radio, country,
trucks, train.
All those songs are. I don't want to really go there, but let's put it this way: I miss the days of Willie and Waylon and all the outlaw.
Yeah, Christopherson and David Allan Coe. David Allan Coe's on the road again. I love David.
Yeah.
Crazy man.
I remember him driving his hearse up in Centennial Park. That's
so funny. We played the prison with him. We played the Tennessee State Men's Penitentiary with him and Farron Young.
Yeah, he's something else. But yeah, I miss that, and you know, I do like Jamie Johnson. Is one of the few artists that I like today, and sadly, a good friend of mine, one of the best outlaw country guys I've ever heard in my life, Wayne Mills from Alabama. He was shot and killed last week, and
what a drag.
I'm still numb over that. It made national news, but that's kind of a sad subject. But rest in peace, Wayne. I miss you, man. That's all I can say.
Are you doing anything now besides just doing stuff with Barney?
Well, sometimes we do shows with Barney. My group's called Stone 3. I've had the same drummer now for 25 years, Don Froschauer. He's amazing. They both have careers where it's hard for us to really go out on the road or anything, but we play occasionally local shows here in Nashville, and I was playing with a blues and rock band up until earlier this year, but they decided to go more in a country direction, and that's not really what I want to do, so I kind of bowed out of that, and I wish them the best and all that. But I understand, to get gigs in this town, you do have to play a percentage of country. You just can't get away with all rock and blues.
Love Nashville. Nashville's so homey and friendly. I love it. I wish I was country, but I just ain't. I'm from San Francisco, you know.
I understand, but there used to be a huge soul and R&B and blues scene here. When I moved here, Jefferson Street was hopping. You had WLAC Radio with Hoss Allen and John R. playing that stuff for people all over the country that had some like 500,000 watts or something crazy like that. And then you had the local TV show Night Train, which I watched religiously in our home. And that's where I first saw Jimi Hendrix, though I had no idea who he was. But I noticed him because he was left-handed, and I think the only other musician I'd seen that was left-handed was Paul McCartney.
So you're left-handed too, right?
Oh no, I'm right-handed.
You don't play left-handed?
Right. No, I've tried.
Oh, I thought you did. I seen pictures of it. It looked like you were playing left-handed.
No. I'm straight up right. Now, Jimmy wrote with his right hand, but played left-handed, and Dwayne Allman was the opposite. He wrote with his left hand and played right-handed. Go figure.
We're out of time. We're out of time. It was really, really good talking to you. Keep in touch.
Okay. Oh, the 30 minutes is gone.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about any of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Just kidding.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, please be sure to listen to this radio program right after it goes out. It goes up on the archives, so take a listen, tune in, have fun, have a drink. Also, especially thank you to Girl George for a great afternoon. Please check out Gary Serkin on Facebook. Check out for his posts, his gems, his morsels. Check them out. They are amazing. He himself has got some great stories. It's been an enriching afternoon. Girl George, you are a blast, and Gary, you were amazing. Thank you so very much. This is the Gypsy Poet signing off saying adios for now.
Ciao.
Gary's going to do a song here we all love and like.